Things are not going well. So next book I'm gonna unfortunately talk about is called It Devours. It's the second Night Vale book, and I've read it before, or like tried to, and I couldn't get through it. I mostly read this so I could just talk about Night Vale some more and how disappointed and angry I am. The basic gist of the story is that, according to Reddit, it takes place sometime between episode 100, which is when Cecil and Carlos get married, but before episode 110. And Nilanjana Skidar, I'm going to call her Neela from now on, she's highly logical, and she's one of Carlos's scientists, and she's sent to investigate some rumbling that's been going on. She somehow ends up at the Temple of the Smiling God. If you are unaware of basically what happened, Desert Bluffs kind of doesn't exist anymore, or like Night Vale has coalesced it into their like jurisdiction, if you want to call it that, and now that's a thing. And the Smiling God is a recognized religion in Night Vale. So she meets this dude, part of the congregation, named Daryl, and she falls in love with Daryl, and she and Daryl have sex, and they have to like file paperwork for it. It's supposed to be very quirky and different, but at this point, she didn't figure out anything about the rumbling or the Smiling God. There were sinkholes because there was a worm, because I guess the people in the Smiling God congregation wanted to summon the Smiling God, and they thought that the way to do that would be by summoning some sort of worm. So they summoned the worm, and it was all wiggly, and it was causing the sinkholes, and then Carlos killed it, but it turns out that's not the worm, that's its tongue. The thing causing the rumbling was a machine that Carlos had, and it was causing the rumbling, so Nyla convinces him to turn it off. She and Daryl decide to just stay friends. I still can't believe that Carlos is gone. I don't know why I don't like Night Vale anymore. It's certainly not the aesthetic, because I love the dark aesthetic, and I think that's really cool. I have a Night Vale painting on my wall. I love it. It just feels like they don't have an answer to any of the mystery. It feels like the answer is because it's weird, which is not an answer. That's no. Whatever, I suppose. At least I get to talk about a good book now. It is called Gods of Jade and Shadow, and it's by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. It came out in 2019, and it's fantasy, historical fiction, fairy tale, and folk tale. So basically, there's this girl named Cassiopeia. She lives with her grandfather. He's bitter. She has to tend to him. It's really unfortunate. And there's this chest in his room that is never supposed to be opened. His family's also like kind of rich, but she's the cousin that everybody looks down on because like I think her dad was like native. So I think it's kind of implied that his dad was native, so native to the Mexico area. I think they're trying to say that he's Mayan. But yeah, so she doesn't like her cousin, and her cousin like tortures her, and she like hits him or something. So she gets left behind on a trip that her grandfather takes to this fountain that's supposed to like keep him young or whatever. And while she's there, she finds the key that her grandfather's always wearing around his neck. So she opens the trunk, and a bone gets embedded in her finger, and then she released Vakum Kame. No, that's his brother. She released Hun Kame, who is Supreme Lord Xibalba, of Xibalba. It's a place. His brother imprisoned him because he wanted power, and now she has to help Hun figure out how to get his power back. There are certain body parts that he's missing, and she needs to help him get all the body parts back, because if she doesn't, he will keep draining her life force with the bone that's inside of her finger, and it'll kill her. And then eventually he'll just be fully human, and he doesn't want that, so yeah. So Cassie and Hun go to the capital so they can go get his ear. Cool. So Vakum Kame knows that his brother is out. He was able to trap Hun by tricking him with Cassie's grandfather. Cassie's grandfather summoned Hun, and then they tricked him and got him sealed into that chest. He wasn't supposed to do this. Hun was actually supposed to tell his grandson that he's supposed to tell him the whole story, but he didn't, so now he has to learn the whole story. He doesn't believe it, but then he meets Vakum and he has to go get his cousin. So they get Hun's ear. Cassie's cousin comes and tries to like intimidate her into coming back and be like, Xibalba is going to make the world bad if you do this and shit like that. The whole thing being that Hun wants to stay in the old ways because like the world is changing and they're just not a part of it. Vakum wants to remake the world so that they're being worshipped again. And yeah, so that's a thing. Hun is also starting to act more human. Her cousin's name is Martin, by the way. He's an asshole. So Hun gets his ear back and his finger back, and they go to California, I believe, so that they can go get his last body part. It's a trap, but Martin can't get Cassie to meet with Vakum unwillingly. She has to be willing to meet with him. She's not, obviously. So he's angry. Martin starts learning about Xibalba so that Vakum can like have Cassie and Martin like be their champions, and like they can race through Xibalba, and whoever gets to the tree first wins for their person. Hun and Cassie are also falling in love with each other, which is really cute. I liked it because Hun was having like coherent character development. Yeah, so Cassie doesn't really feel like she's ever not belonged to anybody like the bad sense, but like she never felt like she belonged anywhere. She didn't really identify with anybody because her family pushed her out and her village pushed her out. So her mom kind of also wasn't really on her side. So yeah. Vakum is also like, if you let Hun be human, there's a third option. If you make Hun human, then you two can be together, but Cassie doesn't want that because that's not what Hun wants. So Cassie does the challenge. She's able to do it pretty easily. She ends up having to sacrifice herself in order to get Hun's body back, but then she's brought back to life. And yeah, she convinces her brother she convinces Hun not to kill his brother because Vakum is also right in a way, but you can't kill your family. They're your family. That's not entirely what happens. The whole thing with the story, the whole theme of the story is basically like hate and bitterness can really ruin a family, and if you're able to overcome the hate and bitterness, then that's fine. I mean, I guess on the level of gods with Hun and Vakum, it's a little bit different because like shit like that happens to them all the time, but like I guess in like a more human sense, it would more so be like, if they do something that you perceived as a slight, but they were just trying to help you, you guys should probably talk about it. Yeah. But like if they cut off 3 of your body parts and throw you in a chest for 10,000 years. No, I guess it can't be 10,000 years because her grandfather's just an old man now. If they cut off 3 of your body parts and throw you in a chest for like 30 some years, then maybe you have a right to be angry. Yeah, I like this book. It's pretty excellent, and I don't use that lightly. I'm sure it's probably got problems, like there are probably some plot holes, but I like the fact that they follow through with the fact that given that Hun is an actual god and Cassie is a human, the two of them can't be together even though they're in love. He does leave her with a gift though. He lets her speak all of the languages and she can see ghosts, and she ends up like leaving with a demon who the first demon who gave Hun back his ear. So she goes with him just wherever. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't remember if Martin lives or dies. I think he lives, but he has to like go home and like tell his grandfather basically what happened. I wonder how that turned out. But cuz the grandfather agreed to do it in exchange for wealth. So, yeah. I like the idea in all literature that humans are the ones that give shape to gods because like belief and faith is a really powerful force, and people have harnessed it for evil. So, well, who's to say that it can't actually give form to something? There's kind of a theme of that in Assassin's Creed too, a little bit. At least they tried to have a theme of that. It didn't work that well. But yeah. I thought this book was really good. I liked it. We're nearing the end now. Home stretch. Yeah. Cool. You can subscribe if you like. I'd appreciate it, I suppose.